Welcome to Africa 24 channel, your prime source of the latest information across Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, the sugar industry in Africa is actually booming with close to 2.2 million tons fabricated seasonally. To throw more light on this today, we receive Bello Alkali Saddiq, the General Manager of Sales and Marketing for Dangote Sugar Refinery. Today, we will discuss the Dangote Sugar brand and discuss about its impact in the Nigeria sugar industry. Welcome, Mr. Alkali.
Thank you.
And thank you for having us, receiving us in Africa 24.
Thank you for having me too.
Mr. Bello Alkali, so tell us, could you share with us the history of Dangote Sugar Refinery? Okay,
so the refinery was actually commissioned in the year 2000. So that is to say we are about 23 years old. And it's one of the biggest manufacturing sites for sugar refinery in one site with 1.4 million metric tons capacity. So we were commissioned in 2000 and we are 23 years into the production now.
So your presence in Cairo and Egypt with the intra-African trade today, how is it actually going to throw more opportunities for the sugar refinery?
All right, so the sugar refinery is actually also undertaking a backward integration program in Nigeria. And we also believe that there are some interests across Africa which we may be developing in the future. And so that's why we're in the show. But also we are a part of the group that has a presence across Africa. The cement group, the packaging group, the fertilizer group, and even the petrochemical group. So we form part of the group and we generally have interest across Africa. So this is really an important play for us to be, an important venue for us to be in attendance.
So considering Dangote Sugar Refinery's successful growth in the market, could you explain what your core competencies are and how this differentiates you from your competitors?
Okay, you see, because we are pioneers, so we have a leading technical know-how for sugar in Nigeria. So we become a reference point. That is one prize for leadership. If you are taking leadership, you really have to take some responsibilities. So we take leadership in the technical know-how. We try to meet the needs of our teeming consumers, whether they are corporate or private entities. We also supply for direct consumption. So we try as much as possible to make all the technical requirements of sugar that are needed by our corporate partners, as well as the market itself for direct consumption. Basically, we provide what we call 60 Ikumsa. Ikumsa is determining the color extent of sugar. So we provide 60 Ikumsa for direct consumption because we have to fortify it with vitamin A based on the regulations in Nigeria. And then we also produce 45 Ikumsa, which we do not fortify with vitamin A for indirect consumption, which has to do with services to corporate entities who in turn will use it to produce other consumables.
Talking of competition, how many markets do you actually break out there on the African continent? Because you know international sugar, so it's very big competitors out there. So how do you actually intend to break these barriers, especially on the African continent?
Okay, so one of the first steps in breaking the barrier in the African continent is to try and make sure that the 100%, we achieve a 100% sugar requirement from A to Z in Africa, starting from Nigeria. So we have a backward integration program that is taking us through a journey towards achieving 100% reliability for raw sugar supply. So that means we take sugar from sugarcane production up to the consumable packaging. That's what we are trying to do as a first step to reduce reliability for export, so to say. So that's the first step. Then the second step will be to develop interest in other African countries and support them in supply reliability for sugar.
So, Mr. Alkali, according to you, Dangote Sugar has the largest sugar refinery facility in sub-Saharan Africa.
Correct.
Could you discuss these positions, Dangote Sugar Refinery in the sugar market, both in Nigeria and out of Africa?
So, in Nigeria for now, we supply the requirements of Nigerians exceeding 50% at the moment. So, we are a leading market share owners, so to say, in Nigeria. And because of that leadership, like I said earlier, we became a reference point for contacts in some other African countries who have interest in wanting to have a homegrown sugar cane and also a reliable supply chain for sugar within their operating countries, within their countries. So for now, as I told you earlier, we only are limiting our coverage within Nigeria, but we have in view an extension of other African nations.
With over 100,000 shareholders, what's your plan to keep up the company's performance and sustain trust and sustainability for your shareholders?
All right, so we'll continue to deliver that which our shareholders are expecting, and also our consumers as well. And we will ensure that there is no compromise in meeting the needs of consumers in Nigeria. We ensure that quality is extremely consistent. We innovate and also expand our SKU base. We also, to our community, we relate very well and ensure that they are happy with our activities in our operating environments.
Okay.
So sustainability is very strong in our operation.
Let's discuss the business operations. How do services like logistics, supply chain management, credit, risk management precisely enhance your offerings to your customers?
All right, so logistics, if I take logistics, I think we invest heavily on logistics, and we build our capabilities for logistics to service all Nigerians, so to say. We have 45-ton trucks exceeding 700, above 700 in units that we use, because we are dealing with food items. So transporting food items require a lot of sensitivity. So we hold our own fleet exceeding 700 units of 45 tons, which we use to service Nigeria. We also have some hubs where we used to keep the sugar and then take it, because Nigeria, is a very large country, so to say. So the distance sometimes is broken using the hub and spoke model. And then we also build technicality in a manner that all the technical requirements of our consuming corporate entities are also met, depending on the various requirements they have technically. So we try to meet their technical needs and ensure that we service them.
Okay, definitely. So we are actually hoping for Dangote to boom not only the economy with cement, packaging, but eventually with sugar, because I believe Africa is a rich continent which actually can produce a lot of sugar with thousands of hectares of sugar canes that we have out there.
Yes.
Mr. Dangote, thank you very much for having us in Africa 24.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here too.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we draw curtains on this program, stay tuned for more programs on Africa 24.